Everyone seems to be chasing the same few high-profile markets. We see these intense, costly battles. HVAC, plumbing, general landscaping, they're sort of the traditional go-tos for entrepreneurs.
And that's often the mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if the path to real financial freedom, maybe generating $3,000, $5,000, even $15,000 per client job, lies somewhere else? Somewhere. Well, completely unsexy. We're talking things like custom closets or maybe high-end hardscaping, specialized mobile diesel repair, stuff people overlook.
Mm-hmm. And this isn't just a thought experiment. We're actually diving into a systematic, proven model today. One entrepreneur used it to generate, over $30,000 in monthly revenue.
That's right, $30,000 a month, and pretty much just by looking where everyone else wasn't.
So we're calling this the boring business revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to dissect the exact methodology. We'll unpack these specific high-value micro-niches, look into the power of geographic arbitrage, and reveal a three-phase workflow. It essentially turns raw Google Maps data into what looked like an almost guaranteed business opportunity.
Let's get into it.
Okay. Let's unpack the landscape here, kind of take a calm, curious approach to this.
Right. So most people, where they fail is they jump into markets that are just saturated. These traditional hot services, think accounting, general contracting, even pool cleaning, they're just overcooked. The barrier to getting customer trust is incredibly high.
And it's not just high, it feels like it's heavily funded now. When you try to enter HVAC today, you're not really competing against, Joe the plumber down the street anymore.
No way.
Yeah.
You're competing against Wall Street-funded giants. Seriously.
Okay.
These are huge private equity funds. They're using these MBA-led strategies. They call them roll-ups. Basically, they buy up dozens of smaller local businesses, centralize all the marketing, and then just flood the market with almost unlimited capital.
Wow.
Yeah. So trying to enter that space as a solo entrepreneur, it's bringing a spoon to a knife fight. You just can't win on price. You can't win on marketing spend. It's tough.
So the strategy has to be different. We need to find that hidden gold mine, which means specialized local services solving really high-value problems, often for affluent customers, but ones that just don't attract that big national investor attention.
Exactly. And the beauty is these niches often have massive job tickets. Let's look at specifics. Think about hardscaping services.
Yeah.
We're talking about building complex retaining walls, maybe intricate stone patios for homes. The average job value, often around, say, $3,000 to $5,000. And it might only take a few days to complete. Margins are great.
And crucially, you mentioned the competition is often minimal, especially in these growing mid-sized cities. Or what about smart home automation? Installing integrated security, lighting, maybe entertainment systems?
Oh yeah, that market's exploding.
Which actually creates an advantage if you have the technical know-how. Job values there. $4,000 to $8,000 per installation isn't uncommon.
Right. And another one you mentioned, targeting wealthy homeowners, closet redesign and organization. Fantastic niche. People really prioritize aesthetics and, just pure functionality in their homes now. That can command $5,000, maybe even up to $12,000 for a really custom system.
Wow. And then the one people really seem to neglect. Garage organization and renovation?
Totally overlooked. Contractors focus on the main living spaces, right? But a complete garage transformation, we're talking flooring, custom cabinetry, slick organization systems that can easily push average job values up to maybe $8,000, even $15,000. And the margins are really, really healthy.
Okay, so these are high-value, high-margin services, basically hiding in plain sight because they're not sexy. They solve these important high-ticket problems.
Exactly.
So thinking about these consistently high job values, how exactly does the location factor into maximizing the profit potential here?
Right. Well, selling these services in fast-growing but maybe less competitive cities, that boosts your profits substantially. It's key.
Okay, so that brings us nicely to geographic arbitrage. It's not just what you sell, it's strategically where you sell it. It sounds like selling maybe a big city quality service, but in a mid-tier city market that hasn't quite caught up yet.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
We specifically target Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, places experiencing really rapid economic growth. Think like Charlotte, North Carolina, maybe Nashville, Tennessee, Denver. Colorado's a good example too. These markets are seeing a lot of wealthy migration, people moving from the expensive coastal metros.
And why did these Tier 2 markets work so well for this? Is it just the migration?
Well, that's part of it, but it creates this fundamental supply-demand imbalance. You've got new wealthy residents moving in, needing these premium services, but the growth is just outpacing the number of qualified professional local providers available. Plus, honestly, the local competition is often just less sophisticated. Maybe they haven't adopted modern marketing tools, definitely not AI-driven systems yet. And that translates directly into less price pressure for you and ultimately higher profit margins if you enter strategically.
Makes sense. So how do we find these specific underserved markets systematically? That brings us to phase one, right? Opportunity identification using AI.
Exactly. Phase one. You basically turn AI into your expert brainstormer. Its job is to cut through the obvious stuff immediately.
And the prompt framework is key here, I imagine.
Critical. You have to tell the AI exactly what you're looking for. Something like, find me some underserved local business ideas, but exclude the super competitive stuff like plumbing and general HVAC. Focus on niches where the customer value is, say, $3,000 or more per job, and specifically target these fast-growing Tier 2 cities.
Right. So you're pushing the AI beyond just, start a landscaping business. It might suggest things like, I don't know, specialized cosmetic dentistry or high-end appliance repair, maybe exotic car detailing.
Precisely. Ideas you probably wouldn't have just thought of on your own. Then comes phase two, the Google Maps data goldmine.
Okay.
Google Maps. It's not just for getting directions anymore. It is arguably the single best source of current, localized consumer behavior data out there.
Yeah.
Something like 95% of people use it to find local services. It's where reality happens.
So we use automated tools for this part, like a digital scout.
Yeah, exactly. Automated data collection tools. They systematically grab the core business info, names, addresses, services offered, that sort of thing. But the real leverage, the secret sauce, comes from what we call review intelligence mining.
Review intelligence mining. Okay, break that down.
It's the core mechanism. We track the total number of reviews for businesses in a niche that kind of signals the market size, but more importantly, we track the review velocity.
Velocity. So how fast new reviews are coming in.
Exactly. The rate of new reviews. If you see a consistently high velocity, that signals strong, active, current demand. Then we also analyze the sentiment of those reviews and, crucially, identify the exact common complaints people have. What are they unhappy about?
So drilling down into that, what specific insights does that raw Google Maps data really reveal about the market's health and, I guess, the service gaps?
Well, it clearly shows you the demand level, the competitor density, and exactly where customer satisfaction is falling short.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you've scraped all that raw data,
Yeah.
you move to phase three, the AI market analysis workflow. This is where the AI really earns its keep. It processes potentially millions of data points. Think of it like stacking Lego blocks of data, looking for patterns.
Darren's like,
Is this market mature and dominated by a few players, or is it rapidly emerging and still really fragmented? Who are the leaders? Who's falling behind?
and this feeds into an opportunity scoring system, right? You're looking for a specific combo.
Spot on. We're hunting for that magic combination. High demand signals, remember that high review velocity we talked about,
Yeah.
paired with low satisfaction indicators. If the average rating across providers is poor, let's say 3.5 stars, despite tons of new reviews coming in, that market is practically screaming for a better provider, or at least a better way to find one.
Okay, let's make this concrete. The source material used Charlotte, North Carolina's smart home automation market as an example.
Perfect example, yeah. The data scrape showed 8 active providers in that specific area, but the average rating, a really meager 3.5 stars across the board, that's a huge red flag. It points to systemic service issues.
But the demand was strong.
Robust. Over 120 new reviews were popping up every month for those providers combined. And the AI could pinpoint the consistent pain points from those reviews. Poor communication was a big one, lack of follow-up, and constant installation delays.
Those sound like solvable problems, honestly.
Exactly. Which leads us to the really revolutionary pivot here.
Yeah.
The media-first business model. Instead of thinking, okay, I need to spend thousands opening a smart home service shop, hiring technicians, buying vans. No, you become the leading media voice, the trusted authority for that specific niche in that specific city. You own the trust first.
So you're positioned to sell qualified leads, not the services themselves,
Okay.
which completely changes the risk profile. Pause. I have to admit, I still wrestle with this idea sometimes.
Oh yeah, how so?
Well, the vulnerability for me is maybe the credibility gap. How can someone who isn't actually an operational expert on, say, custom closets or smart homes, how can they credibly launch a media authority site or newsletter that sophisticated customers are actually going to trust? Doesn't that feel a bit inauthentic?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's precisely why it works so well. The media business advantage creates this kind of untouchable moat. Think about it. Customers often don't inherently trust the average service provider anyway, right? They're skeptical.
Sure.
But they will trust the authority, the media source, who clearly understands and articulates their specific pain points, the very pain points you uncovered from the Google reviews. You're using that AI scraped data to write articles like, "The 3 biggest reasons Charlotte homeowners end up hating their smart home installer." You're reflecting their reality back at them.
So you bypass the need for massive capital for equipment, trucks, whatever. You're building scalable content assets instead, things that attract potential customers to 47.
Exactly. You own the audience. You become the trusted source of information. And that's a position traditional service companies really struggle to replicate quickly or cheaply. They're busy fixing things. You're busy building trust.
Okay, that makes sense. So then why is owning the audience via this media-first approach really a better strategic move than just, rolling up your sleeves and offering the service? Simple. It creates that untouchable moat built purely on trust and audience ownership, and it totally eliminates the capital risk. Right, so the domination strategy really hinges on creating hyper-local content and has to be built directly from that review data you scraped. So let's say we targeted that exotic car detailing niche in Charlotte. You wouldn't just start a generic car blog, no. You'd launch something super specific, like the Charlotte Car Culture Weekly newsletter. Or maybe local video reports focusing only on high-end car care in that city.
And the content itself has to directly address those pain points identified back in phase 2, right?
Absolutely critical. You're not writing generic fluff pieces. You're writing articles titled, "Why It's Almost Impossible to Find a Reliable Ceramic Coating Installer in Charlotte," and you'd maybe even anonymously quote snippets from the actual negative reviews you found. You're solving the information gap, which then leads customers to the service solution.
Gotcha. Which then naturally leads to authority-based lead generation. Exactly. After you've built that focused audience and trust, you approach the existing service providers, maybe the ones who had decent skills but terrible communication ratings in your data, and you come from a position of strength. You say, "Look, I run the top newsletter for local car enthusiasts. I've got 2,500 subscribers who are actively looking for reliable, high-end detailing right now."
Yeah.
You're not selling them maybe leads from SEO. You're offering them direct access to a proven, qualified audience that you built. It's a partnership.
You're offering immediate access because you specifically addressed their target customers' needs. That's powerful.
It is. And there's a fantastic real-world example of this. James Dickerson's Diesel Dudes. He focused hyper-locally on mobile diesel repairs, specifically in the Charlotte corridor. Definitely a boring niche, right?
For sure.
He completely dominated it, scaled rapidly to over $30,000 in monthly revenue, just selling the leads generated from his targeted media presence.
And the revenue potential is pretty stunning because the overhead is so low.
It's incredible. Highly qualified leads, like for a $5,000 diesel engine repair, they can sell for $100, maybe $200 each. So if you generate just 200 to 300 of those leads a month through your content, well, you're looking at $20,000 to $60,000 in revenue.
Wow.
And your total overhead.
Wow.
Mostly software subscriptions, maybe a little bit for content promotion, often under $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Whoa. I mean, just imagine scaling that kind of 85 to 95% profit margin across 5 different tier 2 cities using the exact same playbook for different boring niches. That's just staggering scalability. Traditional service businesses can't even touch that.
Okay, so looking ahead then, we need to anticipate the next wave of opportunities driven by these big demographic shifts. What should we be watching? The source mentioned things like AR, VR for design visualization, sustainability solutions.
Yeah, those are interesting. But the really big one, I think, is health tech, especially for the home.
Okay. Like home health monitoring.
Exactly. That and also more premium in-home support services for aging populations. Think about it. You've got the aging baby boomer generation, plus the continued remote work trend, bringing more affluent, busy households into these tier 2 cities. This creates a whole new set of high-value needs. People want premium, time-saving, technology-integrated services delivered right to their door.
So beyond just the immediate examples we discussed, what specific new demographic shifts should we really be paying attention to for future niche targeting?
I'd say the increased demand for anything technology-integrated, anything that saves time, and premium-level services, all driven by those dual-income, work-from-home households, and significantly the aging population in place. Hashtag tag outro.
Okay, so the big idea here, wrapping things up, is this concept of boring business arbitrage. It's really a systematic approach. First, deliberately avoid those overcrowded, hyper-competitive markets. Second, use data-driven validation, primarily from Google Map scraping, to pinpoint very specific service gaps in growing Tier 2 cities.
And third, Leverage AI not just for identification, but to help build a truly scalable, high-margin asset through that media-first model. Own the audience.
You essentially eliminate the guesswork. You're only entering markets where you've already proven there's demand and you know exactly what the current competitors' weaknesses are.
Right. And by building that competitive moat, the one based on local authority and trust earned through your content, you create a system that's nearly impossible for competitors to replicate quickly. Even those big Wall Street roll-ups struggle with building genuine local trust like that. You own the audience relationship.
It feels like the businesses that will dominate the next decade might not be the ones with the most capital tied up in trucks and equipment. They might be the ones who can identify these opportunities faster, execute the data collection and analysis more efficiently, and then strategically dominate local search and, more importantly, local authority.
Absolutely. The markets are definitely waiting, and the required investment is minimal, especially compared to launching a traditional service company. So really the only question now is, which boring business will make you wealthy first? Where high value, maybe slightly overlooked niche in your own local area is just screaming for a better, more trusted media voice.